closed caucus.
We missed you. It was good. Good caucus.
Speak for yourself.
I know.
Speaking.
I know, sorry.
Conclusions from the caucus meeting, did you revisit Healthy Utah and what conclusions have you come to?
We spoke about Medicaid and we spoke about transportation, an issue that, again, we're a little bit behind the curve in terms of some very big policy items that we've got to start, again, driving good decisions by providing good information. And that's one of the things that in our caucus that we feel to really get consensus and really land on some smart policy, we have got to have a lot of information, a lot of data, not a predetermined place to get to, but and so transportation was one of those items we discussed today.
Any decisions on Healthy Utah? You guys can revisit it?
The status of Healthy Utah has not changed at all. I want to say that the House of Representatives, with the leadership of Representative Dunnigan, with positions that we have that are with care administrators and insurance executives, we continue to do what we've always done. We said that doing nothing's not an option. Well, there have been the amount of work, discussion, the hours of deliberation on this issue collectively as a House caucus, Republican caucus or majority caucus, the notes, the work, the charts that we've seen from Representative Dunnigan amounts to an incredible amount of study and progress on this issue. However, like anything here at the Capitol and any bill that we present, you have got to find that common ground. And as that bill has come from the Senate here, and as we have spoken in past caucuses from last week, there isn't traction to do that. Now, in these finite committee hearings where bills can live or die just for the chance of getting on an agenda, because we're getting down to the end of it. If we're not pursuing a bill for the purposes of considering it to become law, then I don't know what we're here for. It's not pageantry. It's not a hope to see, and we saw it in the case of Representative Dunnigan's district. You have dark money and you have mailers hitting representatives' districts, trying to push them into a direction on policy that if there wasn't that bullying going on, they may vote a different way. We have to make sure that colleagues have an opportunity to vote their conscience. We have a direction. We know that we don't find consensus to be, but there's options, there's work, but you need a Senate and you need a governor. And we've heard from the Senate. There are people that would like to find that common ground. We need to see some will to find that common ground, but it's not in the form of the bill that came through the Senate.
Have you guys discussed the particulars of the bill that came from the Senate? Because what they sent you is not Healthy Utah.
Correct.
What you discussed in previous caucuses.
Absolutely. And the biggest difference of that is the 2-year pilot. Now remember, pilot isn't the way you're hearing lawmakers talk about pilots up until now. Usually a pilot is a measured and small approach at something where you test the data, you look to see if it works, and if it's right, you can then, what we saw say, go to scale. Okay? This is a pilot that goes to scale its first day. It is extended out to everyone with the caveat that if the numbers and to address the uncertainty, if it doesn't work, you can take it away. Now, 75% of this population we're talking about has some coverage in some way right now. You would replace that with Healthy Utah. You would gain that additional amount. And in 2 years, if it didn't work, we would take all that back. Even those that have coverage today, we would be taking the Healthy Utah coverage that they have and having them go find something else. It is either reckless to do it that way or it is a parlor trick. But I do not believe that is serious to be able to promise the state of Utah, promise coverage, commit to something, and then in 2 years exercise the King's X option. Okay? Mm-hmm. What we decide to get into, what we decide to move into by way of coverage, the state of Utah, and this is where the House takes this very seriously. We think this is a permanent decision. This is a place that once we tell the citizens of Utah, this is the coverage we want to provide, we have to mean it. And I think that to say anything else, to say we're going to go ahead and provide it for a while, because that's better than not at all. And if the numbers don't, or if the populations grow beyond what we thought, or the price tag is too high, well, it was a nice experiment. Thanks for playing. We're going to go move on. I don't believe that that's we in the House don't believe that that's the way we should proceed. But does that say nothing? No, it's not what we've ever said. But you have to have those willing to discuss policy in a measured way, getting into an area of coverage that we think will be permanent. We have to pro forma this out and know that we can do it. And we don't have the luxury, if it's a luxury or if it's a bad habit of the federal government, not having to ever look at whether they can pay or the taxpayer dollars arrive for what it is that they say we ought to be spending on.
Did you also talk about the fact that all the tax increases are off the table for Healthy Utah? And did you also talk about the fact that there is the new cap that would limit enrollment to whatever you get after 2 years in that Healthy Utah program?
So to the money, the state of Utah and the budgets we write, we're paying. And when we talk about all these federal funds that are coming back, I hope that the public understands that's not coming back to the state of Utah. The money goes one direction in the state of Utah and taxpayers, and that is to pay for the program. Now, there's this idea that money comes back, or concept federal money comes back. It comes back to hospitals, and it comes back to the state. The state of Utah only pays out in this approach, whether it's money that we would have otherwise spent on critical needs of the state and will instead spend on a plan like this, or whether it was to raise taxes. We've always known that the state of Utah has to pay. So you can say that it's with the existing dollars we have, but remember, we have a lot of needs in the state. We have a lot that compete for those same dollars. To say that it's not going to be raised by a tax, but you're going to go into those budget, the surplus we have and pay for it that way, there's still a great responsibility on how we do that. And so that doesn't change. The state of Utah still pays, and we know that. And so whether it's through a tax increase or not funding other things, we understand that. That's both are challenges.
So you're not going to bring out the Healthy Utah bill and have a vote on it, and that stays as.
I'll tell you this. The point is this: if not to pass bills potentially into legislation, I don't know why we would be taking the finite time we have left. It has to have traction. It has to be serious policy. We have had more debate, deliberation. There's been more data shared on this issue than any other issue of public policy that we've heard up until now in the session, or we will hear till the 45th day of midnight. Given that, if you know that that's the case, and there's other bills that fit that category where we don't know that it's even in the realm of possibility, and you don't see that take the place of other bills that are fighting for time on an agenda in a committee, fighting to get through this process and that are viable bills.
Did you bring another vote in caucus?
You're telling me then that you're not going to bring this out and have a vote on it? The Healthy Utah.
Healthy Utah as it is now? No,
yes.
We're not. We are open to we're open to ideas of bringing something out, but we need something that has some viability, Bob. We need something that you can find support of the House and Senate. Trying to do better than we have now, you would do that effort a disservice if you kept concentrating on a bill that doesn't have any support. It doesn't even allow you the environment to talk about a place where doing something could still be an option. If you're talking about bills that don't have the votes to be successful here in the House.
Is it the same with the Christensen bill that's being heard as we speak? That won't go anywhere either over here if it passes today.
That bill's in committee today?
No, it's on the floor today.
The Christensen bill.
Frail Utah.
Frail Utah, Senator.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Christensen.
Senator, I thought you were talking LeVar
Yeah,
Christensen
no,
on
no.
a different
And we're
topic.
badging on the same topic. If that passes the Senate, is that going to get held up here as well because there's no support?
Look, any bill that comes over, especially on an issue that we have delved into collectively as much as we have, if there isn't any chance for it to pass, it wouldn't be the best use of our finite time to do this. It's not pageantry. And I'll tell you this, okay? Let me show you something. This is called dark money, okay? These are the kind of mailers that go out to try and bully lawmakers into voting against what they otherwise would if stuff like this didn't hit their districts. If you don't have a bill that has a chance and you think you want to put it on an agenda because if you get enough of this mail into someone's district, maybe they'll be afraid or maybe they'll vote in a different way because they have distortions being sent out against them, okay? If you think that's a good process, I'm going to disagree. Now, I'll be the point of the spear on this one. I want bills to be considered that have, that are viable, that are good policy, and that stuff like this doesn't drive the debate. Okay, this family here has nothing to do with the debate that we're
Who do you
talking
blame
about.
for that mailer?
It's the person who paid for it.
It's the Alliance for Better Youth.
Alliance for a Better Utah. Where are the donors? You know, when you talk about campaigns, you know every dollar that's gone in through a transparent way. You know every contributor and every dollar spent. Who is this? Where's the list of donors that you can look on a PAC or a political issues committee? These kind of mailers and sending them against members to try and drive an outcome of a vote is not a good process.
Did
So-
you take another vote in caucus today on Healthy Utah and the other Medicaid alternatives?
On Healthy Utah, we did not. Healthy
So-
Utah is not being discussed in our caucus.
So you
We've
have
already
not-
visited that issue.
But you have not taken a vote on it since the new details, the 2.0 the governor describes have.
Those details are shared. It still goes, Elisa, to the, we don't want to get into a space where we at least wanted waivers to say, look, check our math, check the third party that's looked at the actuarial numbers of population or cost. Verify that we didn't cook the books, and if they're real, let us plan and budget a bill around the population or around the cost. Give us that waiver. The answer has been no. Now, you can say, and someone can say, well, I was just at DC. Guess what they did? They said, yeah, we've been on conference calls. We have tried to find any amount of answers back to give us certainty of which to this day we don't have. If we don't know, if we don't have a way to measure or to budget to a population or to a cost that the state of Utah would be required to appropriate, it is not easy to do. The answer from the governor has been, let's just do it for 2 years. And if the numbers are wrong and it doesn't work, we just King's X, we can be out of here. We don't have to do it. We don't think that's a viable option. We have to do better than that.
If you don't like the
Speaker, I
Senate,
saw,
if you don't like the Senate plans,
You'll move next.
if you don't like the Senate plans, where's a House bill with a plan that you do like?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. We continue to be ready. And there are plenty of, if you don't see this guy on the floor, guess what he's working on? And he's always been working on. But you can't keep negotiating against yourself. You have to have people come together and look at what we could do that's better than what we're doing today. You have to have that kind of environment. We're open to that. That climate has never changed.
Are you coming out with a House bill then on Medicaid expansion?
Not if there's not any consent. This would have to be a collaborative effort done with the governor and the Senate. And I think there's great desire to do something, but we need that, those conversations have to be, but as long as a plan that has no support in the House is all that anyone wants to talk about, I don't know how you make progress on those other fronts. You had a question about.
yeah, sorry, I wanted to give you a chance to respond. I've seen some things on social media today, giving us.
Oh, don't believe any of that.
No,
They're saying
I
terrible
wanted to give you a
things.
chance to
I do
respond,
go to
but-
church.
But it has the backing of the governor, the backing of the Senate. Some people have said in response to you saying that you're the bullies, that with your supermajority, you're the ones doing the bullying. I just wanted to give you a chance to respond.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I went into a playground, okay, and I see a bunch of kids laying around with bloody noses and missing a tooth. And I go and I find the person that's done it, and I don't let them do it anymore, and I'm the bully, okay? I can show you, and I've got the mail to prove it, okay? And I can give you a list of advocates that are going to say the worst things about this house. We've been told that our process has been bad. We've been told that our intentions have been bad or have been vindictive. Nothing further can be from the truth. Now, they can keep assigning bad intentions and bad motives to the process that we've gone through here, but we have earnestly and thoroughly and thoughtfully gone through this. And we believe that there's space to make progress, but you got to work together.
So
And that's
bottom-
just it.
So bottom line, will there be a Medicaid bill this session?
You know what? I think you have, as you have always had, the willingness to do something, but we need all
What are you willing
players.
to do though?
That was the last question.
Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you an answer where I suspect. We have a coverage gap, okay? Healthy Utah has always contemplated having the state of Utah pay for Medicaid expansion beyond what the coverage gap is today. The coverage gap exists from 0 to 100%. The Healthy Utah plan and the traditional Medicaid expansion goes beyond the 100% of the coverage gap and goes into up to 138%. If people want to stare at those that are truly in the coverage gap and find out how we can find answers and provide healthcare coverage for those in the gap, we're all ears and always have been.
Governor says Draper Prison may not need to be moved.
How quickly after you talked about this issue did he say it?
Well, that's my question for you. First of all, how do you respond to that? And do you think he's bullying you on that?
Now, you know what? That's a thorough process. It doesn't bleed into this issue for us, but I can see how people would like to play a hardball, or there may be some interest in trying to bleed the issues together, but they're separate issues.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Are you threatening